Okay, so this is always one of our favorite parts of the symposium and the way we like to end. This is your opportunity to ask questions of our warriors. Anything you want to ask, they are the experts, right out of their. So I'm going to open it up for questions. What do you really want to know? Straight from our warriors. Oh yeah, they'll answer anything. Believe me. Introduce themselves. Great idea. It's been a long weekend. How about you start by saying your name and how old you are?
My name is Christian. I'm 16.
My name is Brianna, and I am 22.
I'm still Anna. I'm 21.
My name's Allison. I'm 18, almost 19.
I'm Hannah. I'm 20.
My name's Justin. I'm 16.
My name's Gabriel, and I'm 13.
I'm Bailey, and I'm 16.
I'm Joe. Some of you may call me Mr. Anderson, and I'm almost twice the age of many of these people. I'm 38, but I do have ALGS, so.
You're honorary. Yeah, we just added you.
That's kind of cool, I guess. Questions?
We will literally answer whatever. Yeah. It depends what the question is. Want me to take it?
Is there anything you guys would tell ALGS parents not to do as parents to or for their children?
What do you mean?
I think somebody said last year, for example, not to say don't itch. Is there anything else like that?
You want to do it? I'll do it. Okay.
I mean, you can't tell them not to itch. They're gonna do it. I mean, don't tell them what to do. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It's not like don't itch, but I would find ways for them to scratch without like damaging, like cut their nails really short. And lotion helped me a lot, and like really soft clothes and stuff like that. And I would say let them experience life as much as they can. Like, I know it's scary, but like don't coddle them too much. I know it says like don't let them play sports, but don't like say no, you can't go play soccer with your friends or stuff like that, because then they're just gonna backtrack in their social life.
I'm so sorry. I've talked enough. I'm sorry. Yeah, so I know that you guys like protect us a lot when we're growing up the whole time, and I understand that. But eventually we want to live our life, and so there's what are you saying right now? I'm sorry. She doesn't stop talking. But there is a balance between knowing your limits and using your condition as an excuse. It's a reason, not an excuse. That's my favorite phrase. I don't like it when my mom uses it with me, but it's my favorite phrase.
Mm-hmm.
I have more notes if you want them. Don't be too concerned about your child getting cold, because we kind of like it cold. So, yeah. I love it cold. My itching gets worse when I get hot. I like it cold. Like, I remember in elementary school, my teachers always like, oh, God, it was so annoying. Like, they were like, put on your jacket, put on your jacket. It's like, I don't need a jacket because I'm itchy, and if I get hot, I'm gonna scratch more. That's not okay, so, yeah.
It's now been confirmed that's not the case with everyone. We're sorry. Obviously, it changes. We don't mean to give you mixed signals.
Okay, just listen to your child, you know.
Okay, any other questions? We're sorry, it's been a really long weekend. Nothing? Come on, guys.
Okay, we have another question back here, Joe.
So something that was really helpful last year, would you guys mind just sort of sharing, ALGS kids are so ingenious. Like, what are some of the tricks that you guys have figured out for helping to manage your itch and be comfortable?
I've talked enough. Someone take this.
Okay, I don't wear a jacket. That's been covered. I sleep on ice packs at night when it gets hot because I like it cold. So obviously, not everyone does, but sleeping on ice packs is good. Cutting nails is good. Having someone scratch your back is wonderful. My dad's decided I'm too old for that, I guess, since my transplant. He's like, oh, you don't need to scratch your back anymore, which is a bummer. I miss it. I miss my back scratches still, even though I have a transplant. What else? I don't really know.
I scratched my feet on the carpet. That was good. That little rubness. Oh, that was. I guess the warmth. Like, I don't know what the cold did. I live in the East Coast, so I'm cold all the time.
Okay, now we're picky about our carpet. Yes. We don't like that soft stuff. That doesn't do anything. It's like a cruel joke. It's awful. It's like, oh, it could be good, but it's not. It's a waste of carpet. So if you do, I'm just telling you, it's rough. So when I was in school, I had like a little carpet square underneath my desk, and I would take my shoes off and rub my feet. And my mom, you can ask her, we shopped for that carpet square everywhere.
Yeah. Let them take their shoes off. Even in school, make sure the teachers know they will take their shoes off. I did that, and people stared at me. I was like, my feet are itchy, just let me do it.
I haven't really scratched since my transplant, so I'm kind of good on that area. But when I do have issues, I get dry skin a lot in the winter, so I just put lotion on, and that seems to help. So, and then also if I notice I'm going through an itchy phase, I do clip my nails so I don't scratch hard and make myself bleed.
So pass it to Justin.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
I put on lotion when I'm itchy, or I scratch my feet on the carpet. Otherwise, I'm fine.
Yeah. Bailey, do you have anything to add?
Any more questions?
I will just
Oh, sorry, Joe.
interject a little bit. I don't do the carpet thing necessarily, but I do have a block of wood that I keep under my computer desk. I just rub my feet on when I'm on the computer.
You don't get any splinters?
It helps eliminate some of that.
I'm sorry. Okay, take the mic away from me.
No, it's smoothed out, obviously, especially after 20 years.
It's worn down from all the rubbing.
Yeah, I feel a little bit better that you said that.
Do we have a question in the back? Is there a question?
Thank you. I have a question for you guys. What do you think of doctors? What can they do better?
Oh.
Do you want to open that can of worms?
He wants to know what doctors can do better.
Oh, is there any doctors in the room right now?
Well, yes, I think
I mean, Dr. Lynn is in the back.
I love you so much.
Oh, Lordy. Okay. For the record, Allison's not going to say anything. She just declared that for everyone to hear, so just so you know. We talked a little bit about this in the transitioning to adult care, but it applies, I think, to all ages. It's really helpful when doctors have, quote-unquote, normal conversations with us and not just jump straight into the medical, because we want to put that off as much as possible. And we get more comfortable with doctors when they're like, oh, how's school going? How's your sister? She's still annoying, stuff like that. Having conversation, not just jumping straight into ALGS syndrome, because we don't really want to do it. We know we have to, but we'd like to have conversation and have that relationship and feel comfortable enough to come to you with our concerns and stuff like that.
Oh, there's got to be more. Come on.
You really not gonna talk? Talk all this time.
I mean, I don't have a problem with my doctors. Dr. Lin, he's the best, obviously. Well, I love him so much. I can't say he's a horrible doctor. Like, he's not a horrible doctor. There's nothing you really can say to your doctors, really. I mean, I guess, like, treating us normal, like what Anna said. A lot of my doctors have done that. They don't go straight into the ALGS. You can't. I mean, there's a fine line of what you can say to a doctor and what you can't. I mean, it's up to you. My doctors are great. I'm done talking because my mom's probably mad at me.
What about talking to you versus your parents?
I'd like.
All right. I think it's when we grow up and we're starting to get into our teenage stage, I think it's nice to still have our parents there to help out with like questions. And then I do like how my doctor will talk directly to me, and then I can look at my mom for guidance when I don't really know the answer or how to address another question. And then also for doctors to do better, it's not really what they can do better, but when we're transitioning from pediatric to a regular adult doctor, it's extremely scary because we keep hearing that adult doctors do not know our condition well. And so that terrifies us to think that we're going from someone who knows us so well to someone who doesn't know our condition at all. So it's more of trying to broaden our illness or our disease to adult doctors so we're not so scared to move on.
Anyone else? Anyone want to listen?
I just want to, I guess, address one thing that doctors can kind of do better is when just talking solely to us and not our parents. Our parents are, I feel, pretty used to the doctor terms, especially my parents. I mean, my mom's a doctor, so she knows all the lingo and everything that I don't know. So when the doctor talks to me, sometimes the lingo comes out there, and it's some appointments it's okay because it's like, okay, everything's okay, but at certain points it's just kind of like, okay, can you just tell me exactly what is happening? Cut the big fancy words, just tell me in terms what is happening. That's helpful because sometimes I think doctors just go into their whole lingo stuff and it's hard to understand.
But before we get to that age to where we're having to transition, we talked about this in that session, but we talked about how the day you turn 18 and you go to your doctor's office with your parents, and then he just turns to you and only talks to you, it's terrifying. Like, we freeze. I'm like, why are you looking at me? They're over there. They're right there. I'm going to sit in the corner and look at the fishes on the wall. Like, the fish on the wall. Like, why are you talking to me right now? So, it's really helpful if, like, you transition into that. So, like, when they're younger and while you're talking to the parents, you can use the big jargon and lingo because they all know it now because they've had to. But then once, like, look at us and be like, okay, so what this means for you is blah, 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 blah. Like, this is what it means for you. This is how it's going to affect you. And then, like, talking to both of us, because as soon as we turn 18, they look at us and we are terrified and we don't know what we're doing. So that helps a lot.
I have a question over here.
Three quick questions about school. The first question, is it changing schools can be stressful for anyone, and is it especially problematic for you guys or not so much? Second question, school size. Is there a preference for small schools or large schools, or it doesn't really matter? And last question, is there a grade at which other students became especially problematic?
Okay, so he wants to know like new school size, and age in which bullies come out.
Well, for the new school, for me, especially because at the time when I was listed for my transplant, I was in middle school, and then I was going into high school. And I had to do, like, a teacher came to me by the end of my 8th grade year, and then they were like, okay, high school came around. Do you want to go to high school or do you want to do homeschool still? I was like, no, I want to go to high school. And I had a feeding tube and everything. I mean, I went a week earlier. Going into high school, it was nervous. Like, I'm going to college in August. I'm still nervous. I'm tiny, I'm small. But as long as you, like, I guess because of me, I had a great support system with my school, and they talked to me, and they kept an eye on me. They weren't overbearing. Like, if you're with them and you want to talk to them, especially your guidance counselors, I had amazing guidance counselors that were always there for me. I mean, did I turn this off? No? Okay, sorry. It's scary going into a new school. The size difference, I mean, for me, it didn't bother me. And, but you're always going to have, like, your friends there. I've had really great friends that always made sure where I was, because I am tiny. I'm 4'11". You can lose me easily. So, I mean, it's not that school size matters. It just matters, like, the school, like, your school is there for you. You're there to talk to them and ask them, like, okay, I was going through a liver transplant. They were there for me. I came a week earlier and I went to school. I was out a little bit, but they knew, and they knew, like, they made sure. I mean, people did stare at me with my feeding tube, not gonna lie. There was people that came up to me. Luckily, I had my sister who was a senior and I was a freshman. I was never really bullied. There's not really bullies. I mean, middle school now, I mean, well, there is. I'm not going to say there's not bullies, but, like, middle school probably, that's where the age probably around, like, what's middle school? 13? Okay, middle school age. There is bullies, like, going into teenagers, but there's not really people who are going to pick on the sick kid. I mean, if you really want to stoop that low, yeah.
Okay, so Allison, go ahead. See my mom's All right, well, I'm going to give it to you after, so prepare yourself. So, Allison is super awesome middle school, obviously. Okay, so when I was in middle school, that was the hardest because you're all going through really awkward stages and transitions, and everyone's awkward and uncomfortable all the time. And so when you have the disease, it only adds to the awkwardness. So, like, for me, I didn't mature until high school. So in middle school, I was much shorter than I am now. It's hard to believe, I realize, but I was. And everyone was a whole lot taller than me. I got lost probably more easily than Allison did. And I got called names. That was the extent of mine. And I think the biggest thing is being able to communicate with your friends and tell them what you would like them to do. Because my friends, I had really, really tall friends. It was not on purpose, I promise. They just happened to be really tall. And they were like, do we go get them? Me go get them? No, don't go beat them up. It's not going to help anything. But, like, communication with your friends and with your peers, I think, is the biggest thing. And then communicating with the guidance counselor and, like, letting them know, hey, look, this is happening. You don't have to name names, and ask for their help and what to do, and let a teacher know, I think, is the biggest thing. Also, I went to a small school, and I really enjoyed that, just because once I told the staff, they knew, and everyone knew. And so it was kind of like a tell once and they all knew, and so that was nice for me.
Gabriel, since you're in middle school, do you want to add anything?
Okay, so I've never really been bullied. I've been bullied like once or twice occasionally. Been called names, but it's never because of ALGS syndrome. Although sometimes I am bullied a tiny bit for not being able to keep up in physical activities. That's all I have on bullying.
Thank you. Thank you. I think Stephanie had a question. Okay, do I answer it? Okay.
I'll go ahead and add my 2 cents. I grew up in Southern California, a very large high school, one of the largest in the country's top 50. It was more of a situation where you could just get lost in the crowd versus targeted, like I would think at a smaller school. So that sort of blend in with the scenery or stick with your clique, very cliquish by, race, income, whatever. So yeah, these people hung out there, these people hung out over there, these people. So as long as you stuck with your clique, you were pretty cool. So yeah, but I was 14. I tested for growth hormone. I was the size of the average 9-year-old. So in our town, also the schools are all on the same street. So you have the elementary, the middle school, and then the high school. So you show up to middle school, oh, the elementary school's down over there. You show up to high school, they're like, oh, the middle school's down over there. So everybody had a joke for you, and pretty much just. I mean, usually it's not personal, so you just sort of let it roll off your back.
So, this disease is really tough, and yeah, it's a really hard disease to live with, and you never know what's going to happen one day to the next. And so my question is, my daughter was always planning. She was always like thinking years in advance of what she wanted to do, where she wanted to go. And so I guess my question is, how much do you live in the present? How much do you think about the future? And how does having Alagille syndrome affect how you think about things?
Well, before transplant, I really didn't think about the future much because I honestly didn't think I had one. Because I got so sick and I got to the point where I thought I was going to die. So I got to the point where I was like, well, I might not go to high school or anything like that. So I didn't really plan ahead for any of those type of things. But then after I got my transplant, you do start thinking about those things, and you do start thinking about going to college and planning ahead, and it's fun. So, and
I mean, I didn't really think about the past. I mean, the things that I went through. I do think about, like, my transplant sometimes, but not really. Not really think about the past. You just live it up until you can. Well, you have to. You can't limit yourself. And that the future-wise, I didn't think I was gonna ever die. I don't really have that mindset. Even when I was going through my transplant, never thought of, oh, I'm gonna die. Like, no, I'm gonna go to college, community college for 2 years, and then get my health sciences. Hopefully, we'll see, and then go for either nursing or radiology, liver-wise. But I have to be. Because I had a liver transplant, I have to be precautious because I have a low immune system now. So if I'm a nurse, I can't take care of who I want to take care of. But, I mean, it's not saying I can't be a nurse, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So I struggled a lot with this when I was in middle school and beginning of high school. It was kind of when I was coming to terms with the reality of my condition. And gonna be totally honest, there was a while there where I didn't want to plan. I was terrified that I was going to be setting up my family for disappointment by sharing plans of the future and my dreams and what I wanted to accomplish. And then, I realized that having that mindset does no good for you. It helps you in no way. It only brings you farther down, and then you're wasting your time because you are living that day, and you're wasting your time worrying about not being here next year. And so that was kind of when and that still gets me down sometimes when, I go to the doctor and it might not be the best appointment, but you just have to make that mindset like, all right, well, I'm given today, I'm given tomorrow. We're going to see what happens, and we're going to plan ahead. I think it's cool for us to tell you guys what our plans are. So I'm a senior social work major, and if I stick with social work and don't switch to nonprofit after all of this experience, I really want to be a medical social worker in a children's hospital and give back to the rare disease community and help those who are dealing with what we deal with younger kids, and kind of be able to take my experience and help others with it. So that's my plan.
Let's see. I would have to say, like, right before my transplant, I was so sick that I definitely did not think that I would have a future. I mean, before I got so sick, I did plan for a future. I thought, I planned, I was like, oh, I had it all planned out. I was going to be in college at this point, at this age. And then I got really sick, and I took like my first driving test, and it went awful because I was in such a fog. I couldn't tell if cars were parked or if they were driving. I could not tell. And at that point, it was kind of like, okay, I am not going to be able to drive. I'm not going to be able to go to college, and I'm not able to walk across the floor. I'm just it's done. It's time. Now that I've had my transplant, I am definitely planning the future. I am currently in college. I did a few years at the JC, and then I transferred, and I'm doing my undergrad in child development, and I definitely want to go to grad school, and I'm either thinking about child life or nursing. And I mean, one thing I'd like to say about that is I've had kind of a lot of dreams shot down in the past because of my disease. It's like, oh, now you can't do this, oh, you can't do that. And this time, I did a shadowing. I shadowed my cousin at the hospital. And one of the doctors there, I told her I wanted to be a nurse. And then we had this patient that was really sick come in, so I was like, okay, I'm immune suppressed, I have to wear a mask, so I wore my mask. And the other doctor that was in the room was like, okay, just make sure you wash your hands really well, because I know you're immune suppressed and everything. And then I asked, okay, well, what is the likelihood, like, how catchy is this, what else do I need? And the other doctor in the room looked at me, and she's like, oh my God, and you wanna be a nurse? And at that point, I was like, oh no, shit, I can't do this. I was like completely shut down again. And I was like, hey, okay, what am I gonna do with my life? Like, is this another thing that I can't do because I'm immunocompromised? And I decided at that point that I was no longer gonna let this disease take my dreams away from me. And if I'm going to be a nurse and help kids, I am going to be a nurse and help kids. And I'm gonna find some way to do it and stay safe, because I am not gonna let this take away anything else from my life.
Tell us what your plans are.
Tell us what your plans are. Give them hope. Little hope. Yeah, it's fine. It's already broken. It's fine. No? Okay. Come on, guys.
When I finish high school, I want to go to college. I want to go to UCLA, but I'm still trying to figure out if I want to go to community or start a university college. But also, UCLA usually practices on the certain jobs that I want to do. And I have 4 jobs so far, but I have to cut some of them to choose the one that I really want to do. And I'm still trying to figure it out. I think I like basketball a lot. It's been my favorite sport since I was a little kid or since I was a teenager, which I still am, but I mean like 13, for my whole life pretty much. I want to become an NBA player. That's the first thing on my list, because my favorite basketball team is the Los Angeles Lakers. And then the second is a police officer, and then a doctor or a lawyer. I don't really like I don't really want to become a lawyer, so I might cut that off. But I'm still trying to figure it out. So
Stephanie. I'm doing animal studies at the moment. So I feel like I want to do something with that. So I think I want to go to uni after school. I feel like ALGS doesn't really have like an effect on like my work, I guess. But, you know, we'll see. Yeah.
I forgot to mention that I am in college. I'm a junior and I'm doing therapeutic recreation. So, yeah.
Oh, we just pass it down. Why? They already know what I want to do. Stephanie, question?
Me first? Okay.
Sure, absolutely. For those of you on the stage that have G tubes currently or have had G tubes, when did you start transitioning to providing that care yourself, or you're feeding yourself via G tube?
Is that the one through the nose, Mom?
The stomach. The
oh
stomach.
no, I did not have that.
We thought it was the nose.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So you guys all had NG tubes. Okay.
Hey, you're gonna talk.
Oh.
I didn't really have to do it because of my mom. I wouldn't even go near it. It's just like, no. No.
All right, here we go. Okay, just explain.
Explain what?
I have a question for y'all since I have a child that I struggle with getting him to eat. And as y'all know, nutrition is very important. Do y'all have any suggestions on how getting a child to eat in order to grow?
Okay, I was like, when I was little, I was very, very skinny. Then when I started to like, it hit me that like I need to start feeding myself and getting ready. And then like it just clicks. And you just have to let him just eat anything, basically. Pizza, it just doesn't matter. It works.
Pizza's always good. We love pizza. Like, I'm not even kidding. All of us love pizza. Just pizza.
I mean, everybody loves pizza. I mean, what my mom did when I was little, she used to freeze butter sticks. That sounds really gross, I know. But like put like butter sticks in the freezer and I would eat them as popsicles to gain weight and like somewhat, I mean, I'm not that tall, but sorry, Dr. Lynn, that's what I did. Don't tell anybody else at Chomp. Sorry, Mom.
I love pizza, but just with cheese, or sometimes toppings.
Well, okay. Anything with carbohydrate we normally like, that's our food technically. And obviously you can get like the breakfast essential stuff or like the Pediasure. And if you go to like a nutritionist, they'll give you like a bunch of like really fattening milkshakes that you can take home and then you can like buy from the store. They'll give you like samples. So that's what I did. And then I also had an NG tube that they did.
Next question. I know, my mom hates me.
So can we?
As parents, you know, we have a unfortunate tendency to think we know what's best for you guys, and you know, always with the best intentions. But what have you found that we just are not understanding or appreciating in terms of what you're going through.
Sorry. Roberta was distracting us.
I'm so sorry.
Hello? I was just, as parents, we have a tendency to know what's best for you guys, and always with the best intentions. But what have you found to be the thing that we just don't seem to appreciate or understand in terms of the journey that you're going through?
Don't fight over the mic up here.
I'm not going to destroy him. Okay. We're not going to break. That was my big thing. My mom wouldn't let me do a lot of stuff like ride a bike. Like, I still don't know how to ride a bike because I never got to do that as a kid, or go to do gym. I was pulled out of gym and stuff like that. So it's like that stuff I really wanted to do as a kid. And now I do it a lot, but I feel like I would have gotten more out of it doing it young. So if they don't like it, pull them out of it. Or if they are struggling a lot more with it, then like dose it back a little bit. But I don't think you need to cut all physical activity because you are afraid they're going to break bones or something like that.
You need to talk. Don't be afraid to hurt their feelings.
Sorry, Mom. No. Not like, I don't know, like a lot of the stuff, like sometimes like I feel like really tired and I feel like doing things, and then you take it as like being lazy. Like, we're not being lazy, like we're just like, we're really tired and we don't feel like doing things, That's it.
Gabriel?
Mine's really fast. We talked about this also in the transitioning to adult care. Despite popular belief among parents, we are very much aware of how terrifying this disease is, and telling us that we're going to die or that we're going to get worse, and using, I don't want to say scare tactics, but sometimes it gets borderline. It doesn't help. I'm being serious. Like, I know you have the best intention, and I know you're trying to help us, but it doesn't help. It just makes us more scared and want to retreat. So if you want to explain, that's one thing, but please don't jump to death, because it doesn't help us. It just terrifies us, and it's not fun.
Okay, another thing is that you can trust that we know and have some idea of what our limits are. And when we say that we've reached our limit, we've actually reached our limit or have passed our limit. I know a lot of the times, I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, but you're going to hate me for this. I have a lot of trouble on family vacations, and I know it's a struggle for my parents to see what's happening to me, and that's probably why they react that way. But a lot of the time, I don't like to hold people up. I feel guilty about it. Sometimes I feel like I'm ruining the vacation. I don't like to feel like that. So when we're going around doing everything, I like to go around and do everything as much as possible. But I tend to go past my limit, especially when it's really hot and sunny. I can't do it. I don't know really how to describe it exactly, but I feel like I'm boiling from the inside out, and my skin starts aching all over. So I'll get that feeling, and then I'll get really tired and overheated. And so I'll go past my limit. I'll feel my limit, and then I'll go past it, and then I'll say, okay, I really need to take a break. And usually my parents have been pretty good about that and listening to me. So hopefully they're not too mad. But sometimes they're a little pushy. Oh, you can go some more. I'm like, no, I can't. I really can't. So just trust that your kid knows their limit, and that when they tell you that, oh, okay, we're tired now, that they're not trying to be that, my whiny old brother that's I want to go home. It's too hot. That we're actually, we're tired, we're hot, and we're at our limit. So, yeah.
And real quick, in order for us to know our limits, you have to allow us to find them. I know that's mind-blowing, but we can't find them if you don't let us. And that's how we push over them, because we don't know them. So you have to let us. Yeah, so I'm sorry. That has to happen eventually.
So kind of following on the theme of, parents, and I'm thinking about for younger kids. Elena knew at a very young age that she had Alagille syndrome, and let's face it, she was the poster child for for the Alliance, and I'm just wondering, how young were you, or how old were you when you first understood that you had Alagille syndrome, and what advice would you give to parents of young children as far as explaining to their child that they have this?
All right, we're going to go over here. Have fun.
For me, there wasn't really a point where I just knew all along. There wasn't really a point where, mom sat me down and was like, oh, you have this. I was just like, oh, okay, I have this, I have to live with it. It's just part of everyday life. And I guess in terms of knowing what it is, I gradually became known to it, and I gradually, over doctor's appointments, they would always go oh, what's Alagille syndrome? And I'd always turn to mum, and then she'd explain it for me. And I guess that's how I got to know what it was. And yeah.
I don't particularly remember a certain point where my parents sat me down and told me that Alagille syndrome. Like she said, I kind of picked it up over time. I think I became more aware of its effects when I was in preschool and kindergarten.
I think you do over time just kind of realize that you don't really, they could ask you why I'm different, because for me, I was jaundiced my entire life, so I was always a different skin color. So, you have, different races, and then I'm just yellow. So I was like, well, what am I? So I think over time you kind of just adapt to your illness, and as parents, you just kind of give them small doses and more information as they get older to try to understand it better.
Yeah, you kind of just, what I agree with everybody else, you kind of just adapt to it. You kind of just say, you're special. And, we're like, oh, my God, I'm special? What is special about me? That's really it. Overall, you, adapt to, oh, I look yellow, but, you can just say, oh, you're just tan. You can just tell them, oh, you're tan. You're tanner than everybody else. Yeah. And then not really saying, you have a disease, because then they freak out. They're like, oh, my God, what do I have? And everything. But you pretty much just adapt to it and just say, you have just a liver problem. You're not. Don't say that they're going to die. Don't ever say that. Don't say it. Because then that's going to, really upset them, obviously. But I guess over time, you're getting used to needles. You're getting used to the doctor's appointments. You just get used to it and everything. You don't really say, oh, you have a disease. You just say, oh, you're special and everything, really.
Add something. I wouldn't tell them that they have a liver disease or a heart disease or a kidney disease, whatever it affects. I would tell them that they have a syndrome. So it sounds less scary, and it's because a disease sounds like something you can give to someone else or something that's going to kill you. Because when I hear disease, that sounds scary, but when I hear syndrome, that just sounds like a part of you.
I think the biggest thing is that for us, it's normal. So I realize for parents, it's this big, huge thing, but we don't know anything different. We don't know what it's like to live without it. So it's like everyone else said, we pick it up along the way. We understand that our siblings aren't having to go to all these doctor's appointments. We're not oh my gosh, I'm so sick. It's more oh my gosh, they get to stay home. But then I got the teddy bear, so I won. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is I know with us, or with me, whenever like I had yellow eyes, I would have someone who would like be like, "Oh, why are your eyes yellow?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. They just are." So like that would bring up a question. So I got to go home. "Hey, why are my eyes yellow?" Like it was never like, "Oh my gosh, my eyes are suddenly yellow. What's happening?" Like this is normal for us. So
I pretty much agree with what has been said. Yeah, it is normal for us. So, I mean, for me, I didn't get a huge sit down talk either at some age. I think it just came in doses. I mean, I viewed myself as normal until I got to the earliest I can remember is kindergarten. And then that's when I started figuring out, you know, because I got the questions like, where are your eyes yellow? Why are your eyes, you know? And then people, you know, avoiding me because I looked different or I was breakable or whatever. And then I was, you know, so then I would come home with questions and ask my parents why this is, what's happening, why do I have to take medicine, why do I have to take so much, what is this medicine doing, what does each pill do for me. So I kind of just learned along the way, and I would just say that if your child does come home with questions, I don't think you really have to sugarcoat it all the way over. Just answer at, you know, an age responsible response. Like, oh, here's your you know, here's your liver. This is what makes you look different. But make sure that you're telling them in a way that they still feel like a normal person, human being, and it's not something that's like, oh, you should be really afraid of this, or you're different, so you are more isolated. Just answer normally and treat them like a human being.
So I have a question. Having a syndrome or a disease has a stigma to it, and that stigma, you could pretty much wrap that up into, I'm so sorry. What are the positives that you take away from having ALGS? And how do you turn the negatives into a positive? And what is your silver lining here? What is your silver lining?
Yeah, he wants you to talk. So what are the positives of having ALGS?
Yes. How do you turn it into something
I can answer
positive
that
in your life?
question.
Sure.
What's the positive of having ALGS syndrome? I'm looking at it. All you people. I've met some great friends. Wouldn't trade it for the world. Thank you.
Do you want to say something? Oh, wait. Do you want to go down the line? What are you doing?
Just give me it. So the positives of ALGS is just, I mean, you do meet amazing people. We met all of you guys. I guess the positives is just like not making it a big deal. Like not making it, oh, you have a disease. Making it just like, I can still do things and everything. I can still do this. I can still do that. The positives are also like having friends who are there for you, who are like real friends, who are really there for you. And like, there is people that go like, I mean, I posted on my social media, I have a disease, I had a transplant. They go, oh, why are you in the hospital? I'm like, blah, 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 blah. They're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, why are you sorry? Like, it's okay. Don't be sorry. And then they go, oh, I couldn't do that. I'm like, well, I mean, you don't really have a choice in whether you wanna you wanna stay really sick or not get a transplant. I mean, in that situation, there is people that I really love that say that like, you're so strong and everything. I take that as a compliment. There's people that who have no idea, do not know me, and I do not know them, or they know of me and say, oh my God, you're so strong. I say thank you, and then I'm like, there's people that are like, oh my God, let's hang out. I'm like, why? I'm like, there's a lot more positives in life with ALGS. There's not really that many negatives. I mean, the things that are annoying with ALGS is when people look at my feet, like when I wear flip-flops. Oh my God, your feet are so cute. I'm like, really? Really? They stink. You know how hard it was for me to find graduation like wedges? Oh my God.
Okay, we have time for one more answer, and then
I
we
know,
have to
I'm
wrap
sorry.
it up. Oh, I'm not the police up here.
I think one of the positives of having Alagille syndrome is you get some experiences in life that other people don't have. It can give you a different outlook, like all the treatments and stuff. It gives you different experiences that can help you later in life.
So can we give the panel a big round of applause?
Before you all leave, I say this at every symposium. Anna, shh. You can cut in line with your child. You get the disability. Okay, ready, wait. You go to the disability area at any amusement park or anywhere else, and you get to cut in line. Believe me, it works unless you want to wait in those hour-long lines. I say it at everything, and everybody forgets. You only remembered.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. And that's it, and lunch is outside.